It's Meet Me for Coffee. Today, we've got Corey Glover of the legendary band Living Color and Disciples of Verity. Corey, welcome to the show.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How do you take your coffee?
Light and sweet. I
Light
don't
and
drink
sweet.
coffee usually, but if it's has a lot of sugar in it, and coffee's not good for me. I have ADHD. It just makes me jittery.
Yeah, and sometimes it can really like throw you off if you
Yeah,
get some coffee in you, right?
yeah,
So we're here to talk about Disciples of Verity.
right.
And for those of you who don't know who Disciples of Verity are, their frontman is Corey Glover of Living Color. It's got Corey Pierce from God Forbid, George
hmm
Pond from Negative Sky, Mark and Zach from Second Skin.
Yeah,
How'd this all start? I know you were pretty busy with Living Color and in your other projects as well.
yeah. I had a bunch of other things I was doing, and I was at the NAM show. It's the North American Music Merchants Convention in Anaheim, California, a couple of years ago. And I've worked with George when he was in Second Skin, um, and he said he's working on this project, and he's wondering if I would do a couple of songs. And I did one or two songs, and then he was like, "I got more songs. You want to do those?" Like, yeah, I've got more songs. And then he was like, "If this was to become something, would you mind doing it? If it doesn't interfere with anything else I'm doing, it sure." And it turned out to be a really, really good record, and made a bunch of songs. We did a bunch of videos, and finally, we got it out there for people to see.
And yeah, George is such a great. He's a producer as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's a great producer.
And he plays a mean bass. I saw he was playing a Spectre bass in one of
Mm.
his photos, rocking the most recent Disciples of Verity show with a nice little
Yeah,
cap on and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, how do you
Well,
feel?
the merch
What
is incredible. All the merch is really good, and the visuals are amazing to me.
I absolutely, I'm looking forward to grabbing the shirt at some point in time. Hopefully, you guys come up here to Canada.
I
Um,
we'd love to come up to Canada.
it's so cool because I get to hear you in almost a different element
Right,
with every
right.
one of your projects. How do you like just slam down some lyrics to a song or a genre that's completely different from what you're used to?
Well, this basically scratches an itch I have. I am, you know, I love Sepultura. I love Pantera. I love that kind of stuff. I love the prog metal kind of thing as well. And this sort of scratched that itch and gave me a chance to write about things that I don't normally write about, and to really get to some more emotional issues in my head, you know?
And you get to let it all out on stage too, right? So
Exactly, exactly. We just had a show yesterday in New Jersey, and went really, really well. So I'm very happy about it.
it's so cool. You guys have come such a long way with Living Color. See, you're still collaborating with others. It can
hmm
be quite difficult to manage your timetables and your schedules with other projects on the way, right?
Yeah, it can be, but if it's something you feel good about and it makes you feel good doing, you'll make the time. You'll figure out what you need to do and where you need to be for it to work. I did a thing with George Lynch a couple of years back, um, and
Super
that was
cool.
a lot. That was very fun. That was a lot of fun. It gave me a chance to go out to LA, to California, and work on this record. So it gave me a chance to go leave my home. I live in New York, and you know work in other environments, and work with other people. The more I work with other people, the more that we all do. All of us in Living Color have other projects that we work on that are that for them, I'm sure, sort of gives them an opportunity to do something else that they wouldn't do in Living Color. But we bring all that stuff back to the process of getting making Living Color music, and it all helps. It all helps. It's a stew that we all sort of contribute to, and the more experiences we have, the more we have to contribute to that stew.
Well, I fully agree, and it just it all amps you up for the next Living Color record? Or how do you guys make your recordings? How, do you guys live far away from each other? Is it just scratch recordings or ideas? You just walk in
We
the room, there's a bed track?
we have ideas. Vern and I have been working on some stuff for the new record that we're going to start working on next year, and so we have ideas that one person might bring in, or two people, or we get into a room and when we all start playing together and something comes out of it. That's usually how the better Living Color songs come about, when it's a real collaborative sort of effort.
I just want to drop in there for a second and mention that I had Derek Day on my show as well, and he
Okay.
works with Vernon as well.
Yeah.
Uh, super cool
Yeah.
kid, awesome,
Yes,
talented guy.
he really talented dude, and yeah, Vernon is producing his new record, and he's really sings amazing, really good guitar player, really good songwriter actually, which I really appreciate. And like he when and the thing about what you want from a front man or from a songwriter is them for you to hear their truth when they're playing, when they're doing it, and Derek definitely does that.
What makes a good song for you?
That you hear the emotional core of it, that you're not phoning it in, that it that whatever you're feeling. That's how I felt when I heard, stuff like Bad Brains. It's like you knew that they were feeling and living those songs. So when you hear somebody being sincere with what they do, it makes all the difference in the world.
I think it all comes down to honesty, right? That's what
Absolutely. You
that
know,
that's
then
so.
that's what the disciples of verity, disciples of truth. That's what we try to get to the truth.
And I find that in music today, there's so much that is so fabricated and fake about
Right.
music. And when you go talk to children about their favorite musicians and people they look up to, yeah, they could be talented, but the emotion and the truth, the true root of music is not there anymore. They don't respect it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they respect it in their own way.
yes,
I think I think that you being old, and you think, oh, my music was so much better back in the day. But this is there was bubblegum then too, that was just sort of throwaway. For some people, it was throwaway music because it didn't have any center to it. And then, but the cream rises to the top. So um you can listen to some of these hair metal bands from the 80s or the 90s, and you're like, they weren't saying anything. They're talking about getting laid and talking about girls. Some people want that. Some people want to talk about how they're feeling, and they talk about that too. So there's something for everyone. What my problem with today's music is, we're not hearing enough of the truth of somebody's emotional depth, as much as we are hearing about let's have a good time. It's sort of it's escapism rather than an honest telling of who and what you are. So you not never really get a chance to see who and what these people are.
Do you agree that maybe it's the people writing for them that takes the emotion away because it's not really their song sometimes?
Sometimes I think sometimes songwriters write for the singer. Sometimes they just write the song. Sometimes they write the song for the band. Sometimes they write the song because they had this idea, and this this particular group of people are able to pull it off. But you know, if you're not saying anything, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, it doesn't.
If you're saying something that rings true to you, you'll feel it. And I that's what I strive for as a musician, to look for the truth.
Performing in front of crowds, how's it feel to be back doing it again?
It's fun, it's people are hungry, I should say, for live performances, because there's something about the visceral impact of actually feeling the drums and feeling the bass and feeling and being in front of somebody as they are performing the song. That's very different than listening to it on the radio or in your headphones, or you're on the train and you're bopping your head to something. It's a completely different animal.
You're completely like multi-talented. I mean, you've acted in
Mhm.
films before too.
Yeah,
Hosted a few shows on VH1.
I did.
Some that I didn't realize was actually you. And it's so cool because to expand your spectrum, to
Right.
broaden your horizons, it must be kind of refreshing because you can go into those situations. Obviously, there are people who deal with a lot of nerves. I know you're probably sometimes nervous about new opportunities.
Always.
Uh,
Yeah.
but for someone who's performed in front of thousands of people, it could be a bit easier for you, right?
No, no. You get minute just before you go on. I get a lot of nerve, I get a lot of nervous energy, and you have to deal with that as you go out. Like I said, I have ADHD and ADD, and you know, you're trying to figure out how to focus that energy in a particular place. And if you're not there, if I've had a lot of coffee, I can't do that. So
You might need to go for a run or do a backflip before you get up on stage.
just you know, just try to figure out how to focus on one thing. Look at look it look above the audience's head, look into that microphone, look at your fellow bandmates who will often help you out in their using their strength to get things done.
Living Colors song Cult of Personality. I'm happy to see CM Punk back at it. And
Yeah,
what a surreal moment to have your song blast over those speakers once again, as part of his
it's
main entrance. Eh?
it's funny when he first when he we had heard he was going to AEW, and I was like, does that mean? Is that happening? And I called him, and he was like, yeah, it's gonna happen. And when I saw that show, and I saw a video of the show, and the sea was like there was like 7,000 8,000 people all singing the words to the song, um, in unison, loud. It was very heartwarming.
It was one of those moments where, the hair stands up on the back of your head. Just
Absolutely.
just watching it happen because it doesn't happen in wrestling too often anymore, right? Because it's not what
Right.
it used to be, and people have been like chanting and craving to see CM Punk once again, and it happened. And I just remember watching that video over and over again.
Yeah.
How
And
crazy people were.
and he's loving it, and he's doing really well with it. I know he tried to do the MMA thing for a minute, and that really wasn't his vibe. You know, and I think he's in his element now. He really is. I don't know how much wrestling he's going to do, but he's a good character for that. He's a good person to be in that kind of environment.
And he helps out the younger talent by wrestling them and
Yeah,
doing things that he wasn't able to do back when he was at the other promotion. Um,
absolutely.
you've got this will be the seventh studio album you guys are about to go work on next year.
Yeah.
Um, what's different about these new songs? Could you tell us any clues or
I can't give you much clues as to what this is, but there is a story connected to it. There hopefully, what we are attempting to do, what we want to attempt to do, is going to be unprecedented for us, at least in a real way. So we'll see how it works itself out, but I can't give you many clues to that.
oh man? Well, I mean, like, how do things gel after all this time? Like, can you get back in the room at any moment and then just like,
We play a lot, so we're around each other constantly. We just got back from Mexico, from Cancun, Mexico. We were doing an '80s festival, um, in Cancun, and we played at Shaky Knees in Atlanta the weekend before this, and we were out with the Summerland tour in North America, uh, and mostly in the Midwest with Wheatus and Hoobastank and Everclear, which was that was a lot of fun. So we spent the summer doing that, and that was our sort of introduction back into the world of live music.
what did you do? What did you do when you couldn't play live?
Stayed right where I am right now, and you know I did a lot of sessions from here. Um, if people called at me and wanted me to sing on something, I plug in the microphone and there it is, and get to work. I did a lot of songwriting. Um, you know, the Disciples of Verity stuff kept me very busy. Um, we did a bunch of we made a lot of plans. Living Color did, and you know there's a big plan for Disciples of Verity to go out and get some work done. So I've been pretty busy. I've been working with other people as well, um, and collaborating with the other folks, and just keeping myself busy. Even during the whole pandemic, and particularly during the lockdown, I was in this room doing a lot of recording.
It's good that you kept yourself sane.
Absolutely.
There,
Well,
there-
I had to. This is, I, I have a lot of people depending on me, and I have to remember that.
Absolutely. I want to ask you, as a band that's traveled the world,
Hmm.
where's your favorite spot?
Don't have one.
No.
Home. My favorite spot is being at home. Actually,
Yeah.
I enjoy going out. Cancun, Mexico was beautiful this weekend, and it was a lot of fun. I had a whole bunch of met some great people I haven't seen in a long time. It was fun. But there's nothing like going home, like coming home and sleeping in your own bed.
What's a tour schedule like an evening on tour for a Living Color like? Do you have to like say let's take it from the night before you have a show, you have to go to a different city.
Hmm.
Um, are you resting on the bus? Are you if you were to
Always.
fly somewhere else, like how does it like how
If we're
much
on
sleep
the
do you
if
usually
on the
get?
bus on the bus, I get lots of sleep, and that's very very important. For a singer, the more rested you are, the better your sound.
Yeah.
Um, and the more rested you are, the more your mind is ready to accept the things that you're about to do, and your body as well. Um, Flying is a little more difficult, particularly if you're flying into a show. If you get like we were while we were on the Summerland tour, we did Riot Fest in Chicago. So we got off the tour. We had a day off on the tour. We got on a plane and flew into Chicago, basically the night before the show, the night of the show, the day of the show, and did two shows. We did one show at Riot Fest, and then we did a show offsite in the Chicagoland area, and then the next day you get back on a plane and get back on the tour. So it can weigh you out. It can weigh you down.
What are some things that help you relax if you're in those stressful moments?
Music. Sometimes I just like you put on the headphones and you listen to music, or you listen to podcasts, or you find a good book to read, or from like first half of the Summerland tour, I had my kids with me, my sons with me, who was 15 and 16 at the time, and that was fun to have them. It's like to have your family near you during those times, and we're a close knit group, the four of us as well. So we like, despite playing with each other, we kind of dig hanging out with each other.
That's always good after
Yeah,
all this
yeah.
time.
It's hard when there's some bands when the bass player and the drummer don't get along, but they get along when they play, but they don't get along during the day. So we're very fortunate that that's not the case in this scenario.
I feel like Oasis pops into my mind every time somebody says argue on stage and
Hmm.
uh,
Oasis, the Kinks, all of that stuff. It's usually, and it's family, because they are actually family, so that kind of thing happens. You know,
there's some funny arguments you can look up on YouTube.
yeah,
But it happens, right?
yeah, it
You're
does.
stressed out. You're flying. You're traveling. It's just
Hmm.
always almost on a schedule for you. Um,
Right.
do you eat healthy on tour? What's it like eating on tour?
Eating is, you try to be as healthy as you possibly can. The only problem is that you eat late at night, and that's not good. Eat before you go to bed. That's not a very good thing to do. but you try to be as healthy as you possibly can. I am a major advocate of juicing. I am a major advocate of preparing food for yourself, so you know exactly how much you're getting and what you're getting and what you're putting into yourself at any given point in time. So I'm known to bring my juicer with me. I'm known to bring my a rice cooker with me so I can steam vegetables and I can do that kind of stuff. But you know, but what you find out now is that we've become such a food culture here in North America that you can find just about anything. There are vegetarian options everywhere. There are vegan options. There are, pescatarian options. Everywhere you go, you can find it.
So as a person who's watching out how they eat on tour and how they take care of themselves, you have a
Hmm.
killer voice. You want to make sure your voice is at the top notch every evening that you sing.
Absolutely.
What do you do to take care of your vocals and make sure they don't, you know, deteriorate or you hurt them?
Yeah, the best thing you can do is rest. Sleeping is amazing for singers. Because you're resting all of the stuff that you're going to then at some point really stretch to its limits. The other thing that you do is exercise, and that's physical exercises as well as vocal exercises that really help. Um, my advice to most singers on the road is carry a jump rope. It's the
Wow.
easiest, most efficient way to keep your body in tune and ready to go. And it's cheap. It's a $12 piece of rope that you can use just before you go on. You can use during the day. You can use at any point in time. And it's a great aerobic exercise because you're trying to strengthen your breath during this whole thing, so that your body is ready and prepared to do whatever it needs to do when it needs to do it.
Yeah, like the working out thing does ring a bell for a lot of people. It actually clears your mind. It helps you get ready. Obviously, going up on stage, you have all these nerves. Like being on stage, your heart's pounding. You're
Right.
got the adrenaline flowing. You want to make sure you're stretched out. You're warmed up,
Right.
and you can give the crowd that emotion it needs to push back on you.
Right on.
Um, do you guys plan, like when you guys plan a set? I know there's a lot of choreography that goes into some performances. Are you
Hmm.
guys one of those bands as well?
No, not at
Wicked.
all. It's as it occurs, and whatever emotion that comes up as it occurs, it happens, and sometimes you get lost in it, and sometimes you're hyper focused on certain things. You know, there are a lot of songs, particularly well, with Living Color. There's songs that we've done forever. We've got a over 30-year history of music, and to recall the emotions that some of these songs sort of bring up, including a song like Cult of Personality. It's you have There are subtleties and nuances to it that you might not have heard the first 400 times you did it. With Disciples of Verity, these are relatively new, so you're still working out where you're taking your feelings and where you're going to get to at the end of doing it, um, and what revelations you're going to find out about yourself as you're doing
It's fantastic. Corey, thank you so much.
it. Anytime.
Disciples of Verity, fairly new on the scene. You can check out the record on all streaming platforms. Pragmatic Sanction is the record.
Absolutely.
He's the ultimate front man. This gels so good with Disciples of Verity.
Yeah.
At first, when I was reading the press release, I was like, I don't know. And then,
Right. 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 I've done a bunch of different kind of gigs. Like, I've had the Living Color gig is it for me.
yeah,
I worked with Galactic, a jam band out of New Orleans, and so I had a funk band that I was working with. This Galactic is a really good funk band. I have a metal band that I've worked with Disciples of Verity to a large degree. So I get to do all kinds of things, and it's very helpful. It helps me out. It's my therapy.
it's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.